In the movie's opening scene, Marin yearly is greeted by her friend Sherry at a high school in Virginia. She extends a sleepover invitation to Marin, but Marin replies that her father would not allow it. Sherry advises her to leave covertly. Living with Marin is her father Frank. When he finally nods off, Marin slips away and visits Sherry, where she is hanging out with Kim and Jackie and 2 other girls. Marin doesn't have a response when Kim questions her about her mother. Sherry applies perfumed nail polish to Kim's fingernail. Marin snatches Kim's hand and starts biting at her finger. Kim's finger is chewed up and torn as she pulls away. The girls scream and Marin dashes home. Frank hears Marin banging on the door and notices Kim's blood on Marin's face, recognizing what has happened. Prior to their last departure, he offers her 3 minutes. Frank abandons Marin as she is sleeping after Marin and Frank go to Maryland. He leaves her with a tape recording and informs her that he can no longer defend her because she has repeatedly attempted to swallow human flesh. In the recording, he discusses several occurrences, such as the time Marin was 3 and fatally bit her caregiver, forcing Frank to bury her body. When Marin was 8 years old, she did the same to a guy at camp. In order to locate her birth mother, Janelle Mae Kearns, Marin intends to travel to Ohio. A man named Sully meets her while she is traveling. He claims to have smelled her, and as he is also a cannibal, or eater, he is aware that she can smell him as well. He takes Marin to a residence where an elderly woman has fallen over and has been unable to get up since the previous day, which Sully recognizes as an indication that she is ready to pass away because he scented it. Marin is horrified, but he insists that something must be done to satisfy their appetite for flesh. The elderly woman passes away in the morning, and Sully devours her right away. Marin agrees when he offers her to join him. Sully exhibits to Marin a lengthy rope formed of the human hair he has consumed, or outright killed. Marin flees and boards a bus as Sully takes a shower, but Sully spots her as she walks away. Marin travels to a different state and visits a store where she makes an effort to steal some merchandise. She witnesses a man harassing a mother. He hears Marin and Lee, a young man nearby, chatting to him. The man follows Lee outside after Lee confronts him and teases him. When Marin visits an abandoned structure nearby, she finds Lee coming out with his face and neck covered in the victim's blood because he is a cannibal himself. Lee begs Marin to accompany him as he steals the man's truck after Marin acknowledges that they both have the same issue. Marin is driven there by Lee so they can spend the night there. They travel to Lee's former residence the following day to visit his sister Kayla. She reprimands Lee for departing and breaking his earlier promise to remain. Lee consents to assist Marin in visiting her mother. They start to fall in love with one another while on their journey. They are greeted by Jake and Brad when they pull over to take a break. Brad is not a cannibal as Jake is, yet he has no issue with it. Jake explains to Marin and Lee how eating someone's bones and all causes a cannibal to feel different emotions than when they only eat the flesh. When the males are sound sleeping, Marin and Lee go to take Jake's truck. When he awakens, he sees them, but they swiftly get in their car and leave before he can catch them. Before Marin admits to Lee that she is hungry, the two make a pit stop at a fairground and share a kiss on a Ferris wheel. He is out looking for a probable supper when he encounters a rude booth attendant who refuses to give a child a prize, because the latter made an unsportsmanlike throw. When Lee tries his hand at it, the booth attendant treats him more kindly and flirtatiously. They agree to meet up when he shuts up. Marin hides close by as she witnesses Lee lead the mannequin into a cornfield where they start making out. Before his climax, Lee masturbates the booth operator, slices his throat, and then invites Marin to feast on him. They discover the booth owner had arrived from a nearby home where he also has a wife and child moments afterwards. Marin runs away from Lee because she is ashamed of what they have done. Marin encounters her grandmother Barbara when she travels further on her own. As she interrogates Barbara about Janelle, she grudgingly extends an invitation to Marin inside. Barbara explains that just because Janelle is no longer with them doesn't imply that she has passed away, rather, it merely means that she is now a patient in a mental hospital. In addition, Marin swears to avoid Barbara at all costs, which Barbara appreciates. Sully, who has been following her, meets her as she leaves. He extends another invitation to her, but when she declines, he aggressively refers to Marin as a cunt. Marin arrives at the medical facility where Janelle is being treated. She has eaten off her own hands and is quiet a lot of the time. The nurse hands Marin a letter that Janelle penned especially for her years previously. In the letter, Janelle describes her experiences becoming a cannibal and how she didn't think Marin was safe around her. Soon after Marin finishes reading the letter, Janelle tries to attack and consume Marin but is stopped by the nurse, which causes Marin to flee. Later, Marin runs into Kayla and her pals. She pauses to discuss Lee with Kayla. They shared a home with their father, but he inexplicably vanished, and Kayla says that's why she was upset when Lee left her. Later, Marin runs into Lee again and inquires about his father. He claims that because he and Kayla were subjected to abuse, he ate him. The two strive to lead regular lives as a couple and rekindle their romance. Marin and Lee have been living quietly together for a while before Sully discovers them. Sully confronts Marin and threatens her with a knife as he tries to convince her to follow him. Lee eventually surrounds Sully's head with a plastic bag. Lee gets stabbed in the chest by Sully, but Marin is able to pull the knife away from him and starts to attack Lee. Sully is still alive long enough to see Marin dig into his body and take an organ to eat before he eventually passes away. They drag his body into the bathtub. Due to Sully's lung puncture, Lee discovers that he is profusely bleeding. Sully killed Kayla and was able to locate Marin using the hair rope and blonde hair that Marin also discovered. Lee tells Marin to eat him after Marin tries to help Lee stand up so they can seek assistance. However, they are aware that they cannot seek assistance from a hospital without first explaining their situation. While he is still alive, she does this. The final image shows Marin and Lee holding hands while sitting on a rock at an earlier time. When her father is unable to keep Marin yearly from acting on her urges, he abandons her. Sully, an elder cannibal she encounters while traveling, invites her to join him, but she rejects him because of his barbarism and flees. She meets a young cannibal named Lee, and the two get involved romantically. Lee aids Marin in her search for Janelle Kearns, her mother. Lee seduces and kills a carnival worker so that he and Marin can eat him on the road, but she is horrified to find that the man had a wife and child. She flees and finds Janelle, who is being treated in a mental facility for cannibalism. Janelle tries to eat Marin when she runs into her before being restrained. When Marin runs into Lee's sister Kayla, Kayla tells her how Lee fled their house after their father vanished. Lee explains to Marin that he ate their father since he was abusive to both him and Kayla when he later comes across him. Marin and Lee pick up where they left off until Sully, who it is implied killed Kayla to get to them, finds them. Sully had mortally stabbed Lee in the chest and ruptured one of his lungs before Marin and Lee killed him. She then ate a portion of him. Lee lets Marin eat him since he can see no way for him to get assistance.